Benchmark for lending rates to remain at 14%. Nigeria to begin rice exports in 8 months. And NNPC seeks new funding options for operators. Plus, privatization frees more than $3 billion in subvention. Welcome to this edition of Business Express. We are reaching you from the network service of the Nigeria Television Authority. I am Amina Nujain. Welcome to the program. The privatization process has freed up more than $3 billion that was being consumed annually by public enterprises through subventions, waivers, and unpaid taxes, among others. The Director General of the Bureau of Public Enterprises, Alex Oko, said the program, which was not designed to share the country's national assets to a few people, as falsely believed. The Bureau said it has initiated and executed far-reaching reforms in the telecommunications sector, pensions, seaports, debt management, solid minerals, and the power sector reform that led to the successful unbundling private sector and, in some cases, concessioning of the successor companies created out of the power holding company of Nigeria. The Central Bank of Nigeria is probing banks' enrollment of their customers in the Bank Verification BVN platform to ensure the integrity of the process. The Principal Manager, Banking and Payment System Department of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Olubukola Akinwumi, says identity theft is a serious challenge that needed to be tackled in the industry and requiring the collaboration of all stakeholders. The BVN gives a unique identity across the banking industry to each customer of Nigerian banks, but many banks are breaching the BVN enrollment process. Still from the financial sector, the Central Bank of Nigeria says it will monitor the rate at which banks provide loans to politicians to finance their campaign spending ahead of 2019 general elections. CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele said this at the close of the Monetary Policy Committee meeting in Abuja. Emefiele said the CBN would be monitoring activities of politicians with a view to intervening when things are about to go wrong. He expressed optimism that due to past experiences, deposit money banks would not want to take excessive risk by increasing their lending exposure to politicians. The Monetary Policy Committee, MPC, for the 14th consecutive time retained the monetary policy rate at 14%. This was disclosed at the close of the 264th MPC meeting of the Central Bank of Nigeria by Godwin Emefiele.
Nigeria's foreign reserves fell to $41.53 billion as at November 21, 2018, from $42.6 billion at September 16, 2018. Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele made the revelation in Abuja at the end of the Monetary Policy Committee meeting. The drop in foreign reserves is due largely to capital flow reversal occasioned by shrinking oil prices and normalization policy of the U.S. Fed.
The investors and exporters window, which we introduced in April 2017, what we did with that market is to open the market to say, look, we want to be very transparent and that people should be free to import and export currencies and deal legally and legitimately in their foreign exchange transactions in Nigeria.
The CBN governor noted that improvements in oil and non-oil sectors are expected to continue to drive growth to the end of the year.
Joy Uzo there. Now, in line with federal government's drive to change the nation's narrative from a mono economy to development of key sectors of the economy, the non-oil sector has recorded significant growth in the last 3 years. Chairman Regulation of Freight Forwarding Abubakar Sani said the initiative has resulted in an accelerated growth of maritime sector, which in turn created a friendlier business environment for industry players to thrive. He said the government ease of doing business has further promoted higher standards of competence and vibrant markets.
Constitution of the Council of Regulation of Freight Forwarding in Nigeria, CRFFN, couldn't have come at a better time than now. Council shall leverage on the federal government ease of doing business, EDB, to bring about new innovation in the conduct of doing business that is obtainable world over. The aim is to promote, protect, and preserve the transparent nature of this government at fighting corruption and related financial crimes, real or emerging. We are determined, focused, and resolute in our collective decision to dramatically change the fortune of this industry to a level of growth and development.
A Thai consortium has signed a Memorandum of Understanding MOU with Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria to invest in local production of rice for export in the next 8 months. This partnership was necessitated by the Nigerian rice revolution and a drastic drop in rice importation from Thailand from more than 600,000 metric tons to 20,000 metric tons annually. Musa Baba Aliyu reports.
Nigeria has cut the volume of its rice shipments from Thailand to 20,000 metric tons from more than 600,000 metric tons annually, just as the government is set to announce a total ban of rice importation with the aim of commencing export of the produce to neighboring West African countries.
We like to use the local expertise.
This business group is from Thailand, holding a meeting with Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria with a view to keying into the Nigeria's Rice Revolution project.
These people are here, they want to partner with us because we are no more buying from there. So since we are not buying, they are here to see how they can be part of this rice business. Because the rice we consume every morning in Nigeria is more than 1 billion naira rice every morning.
So they have 60, 70 years of understanding of developed, how to do the rice mill, their drawbacks, their process and all those things. So we need to learn from them in a joint collaborations and understand and then implement that in a Nigerian context, in Nigerian style.
A memorandum of understanding is set to be signed on production and processing of rice for local and international markets.
Nigeria is 200 million people. We can feed ourselves, feed other countries, and with the leadership of Mr. President, I'm sure within the next 4 years, or even the next 2 years of his second tenure, every Nigerian will be proud to be a Nigerian.
Nigeria is today housing more than 12 million rice farmers, producing more than 90% of the produce the country needs for consumption.
Many thanks, Musa. You are still watching Business Express, coming to you on the network service of the Nigeria Television Authority. Remember, you can contribute to the program via our website, Business Express at nta.gov.ng. You can also reach us through our Twitter handle, NTA News Now. Don't forget to use the hashtag BizX showing on your screen. Now, to discuss further on how Nigeria will begin to export rice in 8 months, we are joined by Deputy Secretary, National Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria, Ilyasu Awodi. Welcome to Business Express.
Good afternoon, thank you.
Now, based on current realities, what would you say the level of rice production in Nigeria is?
Well, I think Nigeria is quite comfortable with the production so far, despite the floods we had recently, which ravaged a lot of farmlands, especially our members, Rice Farmers Association, who are enjoying Uncle Barrow's program, notwithstanding, of course, our intention was to produce about 15 million tons of paddy this year. Notwithstanding, I think we should be able to provide Nigeria with the staple food, because we expect to harvest about 8 million metric tons, which is okay for Nigeria for now.
Prior to the 800 metric tons you mentioned, what was being harvested?
Prior to this, let us just go back to 2014, when the federal government had to import about 2 million metric tons to augment what is being produced in Nigeria, costing the country about 3,065 billion just in 1 year alone in foreign exchange. This has changed considerably, and we don't intend Nigeria to import any rice whatsoever. So hitherto, I think Nigeria was producing about 3 to 4 million metric tons, and there was a shortfall of 2 million metric tons before this administration came in, and this has been reversed considerably, and that was what gave to Thailand to come down to Nigeria to discuss with us on the vagaries of how Nigeria can produce more for exports. We're now targeting exports.
No, but are we really ready? Yes, the numbers have increased, but is Nigeria ready?
Nigeria is, of course, ready. We have over 12.2 million rice farmers registered with us, and because of the flood, in order to protect any things that will come up, we have registered almost 1 million farmers right now to go into the next drying season. That's why our president was very comfortable to tell the nation that in the next 18 months we should be able to export rice.
So would you say Nigeria is self-sufficient? That's one. Then second, in terms of quality, is the quality good enough for export?
Good. I would say Nigeria is self-sufficient. Two, the quality has been tremendously improved within the years from 2015 to date.
What was wrong with it prior?
What prior? Prior to this, I think the previous governments had didn't invest much on rice production. Okay. But this government came up with this Uncle Barrow's program 2015 in Kebbi, and the result was wonderful. From that, from registering about 70 members to partake in the Uncle Barrow's in the dry season. Recently, the rainy season had 365,000, and today we have over 1 million who are now rushing to take the opportunity of the Uncle Barrow's program. And we sincerely hope that the government will be able to, give this program, what he did before, to repeat itself, to give them all the inputs that they require.
Now, if Thailand, who is known for rice production, is now partnering Nigeria to export her rice, what does that say about Nigeria?
Excellent. What that shows is that importation into Nigeria has been curtailed.
Okay.
Because there were, according to the last, you said, I think only 20,000 tons. Even these 20,000 tons, it's not an official, they didn't go through the normal importation. This is just a side.
So if you would give the real figures, what would it be if it's not 20,000?
Well, if you see any importation into Nigeria, it is a smuggle, and it will be difficult to specifically say this is the tonnage that was, so it means Nigerians are already, they have gone back to taste our Nigerian rice, which is more palatable and safer.
Okay, talking about, you did make mention of Kebbi rice.
Yep.
The production of local rice has tremendously improved within Nigeria. Now, the federal government is to release 60 billion naira in a bid to bring down the price of rice. Would it work?
Well, I think that will work because the 60 billion will go into more mass production. And the Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria, we sat down to evaluate both the processing, the production cost will be drastically reduced because more farmers will go. You know, if you look at what is happening now with the floods, the price of paddy is still, you know, at par. Okay. So normally by this time people would be, you know, rushing to buy, you know, paddy to stock for the rainy day. But because if you go to any market in Nigeria, rice is abundantly available, and we have many integrated mills in Nigeria which can produce the quality that we get from abroad. Even the local processors have now been equipped, you know, through the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, you know, with distoners and polishers. So our rice, you know, our rice has come of age.
Talking about our rice coming of age, are farmers paying back the credit facility given to them by CBN? Then, what's the compliance rate like? Well, I must admit here that we have problems with the, you know, repayments. What has, you know, added, you know, the lack of preparedness for the farmers in the last, you know, because the federal government made it in such a way that repayment is in 3 tranches. You know, we had the first dry season farming, which they were supposed to pay 30%. And then this rainy season, the last one, is supposed to be the second tranche. Then we had this flood. So this will adversely affect our repayments. So we have even appealed to the federal government to reschedule the loans so that we can, you know, our farmers can comfortably pay these loans. So it's a work in progress. Oh, we're working very hard on that. All right then. Ilyasu Awodi, National Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria. He is a deputy secretary. It's been a pleasure having you on the program today, Business Express. Thank you very much. Now, moving on, 40 containers of tramadol and other pharmaceutical products with a duty-paid value of 7.3 billion naira has been intercepted by Apapa Area Command of Nigeria Customs Service. Controller General of Customs, Colonel Hamid Ibrahim Ali, who conducted journalists around the seized items, described the feat as crucial to the nation's economy. Paul Amukogu has details.
This is the highest seizure of tramadol drugs made by the Apapa Area Command of Nigeria Customs Service. The question here is, what would have been the fate of users if these drugs had found their way into different outlets around the country? Concerned about the volume of seizures and the reported attempts to influence officers with $412,000, the Comptroller General, Colonel Hamid Ibrahim Ali, disclosed that suspects remotely connected to the crime will be prosecuted after investigations.
Most of these drugs, if they had found their way into this country, will eventually end up in the hands of the thugs. And this is not brought in by foreigners. This is brought in by our own fellow Nigerians.
3 suspects linked to the seizures and the dollars offered as inducement to officers were displayed to the media. The Comptroller General also undertook an inspection of 6 bags of foreign rice at the Federal Operations Unit, Zone A, Ikeja. In the same vein, he showed the media trailer load of tramadol tablets and the money offered officers by suspects.
This money was given in a bid to get this container released by our own officers. And in the course of doing that, our officers took the money and then reported. We have to go and set up a small task force for the clearance of this and give them the mandate and give them a time frame. These things must be evacuated as quickly as possible.
2 helicopters, one intended for export and the other imported from the United States of America, were among items impounded.
Thank you, Paul. Gold prices held recent gains in early Asian trade on Friday on lingering debts over the pace of rate hikes by the U.S. Federal Reserve, putting the metal on track for a second straight weekly gains. Let's take a look. The federal government has said that efforts are ongoing to have extra satellites to support the present Nigeria communications satellite NAJCOMSAT to improve quantum in the telecommunications industry. The Minister of Communications, Adebayo Shitu, said this in Abeokuta. Adebayo said the major reason for the additional communication satellites is to reach areas that could not easily be covered by terrestrial fiber.
The importance of technology in the development of any economy cannot be overemphasized, and federal government of Nigeria had continued to explore the technology sector as veritable instrument to drive the economy. Minister of Communications, Adebayo Shitu, says government under the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari is taking advantage of the potentials that abound in technology to create employment, engage the youth positively, and improve the IGR of government.
NAJCOMSAT has one satellite as of today. We are making effort to the extent that we want to acquire 2 more satellites. We have negotiated with the Chinese funding agency. They have agreed to fund it to the tune of $550 million.
Ogun State Governor.
Statisticians are advocating the availability and appropriate use of good economic statistics so as to translate such to improve life by providing evidence as a base for policy and decision-making. Musa Abubakar reports at the 2018 Africa Statistics Day, where such was an issue.
Statistics are a method of conducting a study about a particular socio-economic variable by collecting, organizing, interpreting, and presenting data which has helped over the years in making informed decisions in all spheres of life. Now, the 2018 Africa Statistics Day with a theme, high-quality official statistics to ensure transparency, good governance, and inclusive development, highlights the importance of statistics in promoting socio-economic development of the society.
This public lecture weighs the importance of gathering available statistical data to achieve deliberate outcomes in policy formulation, implementation, and evaluation, taking cognizance of the fact that income and wealth of the economy are the basis for the well-being of people.
Statistics is just playing the role of providing that key information for sustainable development of the society.
I think this is time for the government to step up and invest and allocate budget to regularize surveys, to carry out different surveys to inform policy decisions.
The Nigerian Stock Exchange has closed Friday's session on a negative note. The OSHA index appreciated by 0.96% to close at 31,678.70 basis points, while market capitalization dropped to 11.5 trillion naira. Now, London stocks fell as pound gains on Brexit agreement. Details with Bosede Abel.
Trading in Africa on the early hours of 23rd November were mostly negative. Tunisia's Tunidex, South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40, Namibia Overall Index and Ghana's GSE Composite Index opened trade red, while Nairobi All Share started positive. European stocks were slightly higher Friday morning as investors cautiously manage hopes for progress in Brexit negotiations. DAX gained 0.43%, FTSE 100 0.29%, and CAC 40 also rose 0.39%. In Asia, stocks slipped Friday as investors remained wary amid heightened tensions between the United States and China. The Hang Seng Index dropped 0.35%, Shanghai Composite Index 2.49%, while the Nikkei appreciated 0.65%. Stocks in the United States closed trade Wednesday, 22nd November mixed. The Dow Jones Industrial Average closed the session below the flat line, erasing a 200-point jump, while the S&P 500 and Nasdaq Composite Index appreciated.
Now, that's a wrap on Business Express for this week, but do remember you can send us your feedback via email businessexpress@nta.gov.ng. You can also reach us through our Twitter handle NTA News Now. Don't forget the hashtag BizX showing on your screen. Let's do it again on Monday. I am Amina Nujaim. Until then, have a pleasant weekend.